everybody? This is Whiskey in the Six. I'm Rob, doing a Shelter Point rundown. This is the biggest rundown I've done so far. A couple things before we start. I've reviewed the wheat, 100% wheat. It's called the Forbidden, 49.8%. Good stuff. It's in the archives. You can check that out. I did it next to another Canadian whiskey. Gave this one an 84. It has gotten better since then. Not going to change the mark, but usually that means that it's gone up a mark. I'm going to stick with the 84 just because that's what I gave it in the review back when. Also not going to review the 100% rye. Did this review as well. It's a KWM pick. 11 years old. Sourced from Alberta Premium. It is 58.8%. And it is outstanding. I gave this one a 91. I loved it. Fantastic stuff. So, not going to review these two on the end. Going to review all these bad boys in here. Basically, I'm going to take a sip out of each, give you my tasting notes just to kind of refresh my memory. But I'm not going to go into too much depth in tasting because obviously there's a lot here. Small sip of each and move on. Going to start over here with the Artisanal Single Malt whiskey from Shelter Point. This is 46%. This is the one that they make every year. It's between 5 and 7 years old, a blend of that. Really, really nice stuff. I'm gonna give you a quick couple notes here. So this is what I fell in love with Shelter Point. It's a beautiful, like, melony kind of note on the nose. Sweet, sugary, a little bit of that malty note that I really like. Really, really nice stuff. Maybe a touch of apple in there as well. Light peach. Fruity for sure. On the palate, yeah, so malty, that melon carries over, it's sweet, nice little sugary note in there, some apple, cereal notes on the back end for sure. Nice finish, not overly long, 46%. Honestly, it hits way above its weight class. It's under $100. I want to say it's close to like $80 Canadian, maybe a little bit less than that. Really, really nice stuff. A great everyday sipper. Honestly, just a little backstory with Shelter Point. They're on Vancouver Island in Canada. Nice climate on the island. It's a little warmer all year round than Scotland. Doesn't go crazy hot in the summer, but it's still very warm in the summer. In the winter, it's, like I said, warmer than Scotland. So you're getting a good aging climate for this whiskey. This one right here, I'm gonna have to give an 88. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Very approachable, very easy drinking, great value in my opinion. And I would put it up against a lot of the stuff that's going in that price range in the single malt category. So pick this one up if you haven't already. Like I said, this one's an 88. That's the Artisanal Single Malt Whiskey, 46%. This one is single grain. I'm assuming that they call it a single grain just because it's unmalted barley. So unmalted barley, or maybe some malted barley in there, but there is definitely a portion of unmalted barley for sure, in my opinion. That's why they would call it that. Mont Fort District Lot 141. So the reason why they're giving you the exact lot is because that's exactly where they're taking it from their own farm. These guys are from grain to glass. They do all of their work. They're sourcing their own barley on their own farm. Beautiful location in Vancouver Island. And they have glacier water coming from the mountains not very far off that's feeding this whiskey. So you have a combination of salt, sea spray from the ocean, all right? You have the glacier water to use for your actual whiskey itself, and then you have the grains being grown on your actual property. I remember seeing a video of them digging deep enough to actually get to their water source on their farm. So it's definitely a really cool microclimate kind of thing going on at Shelter Point. I rave about them all the time. Gonna taste this one now. It's the Mont Fort District Lot 141, 46%. These guys are all unchill filtered, no added color. Okay, so every single one of these, I'm not gonna repeat that. Every single one of these is unchill filtered, no added color. And you can tell there's a distinct difference on the nose here with the Artisanal single malt. One is malted, one's not. Or at least there's a portion that's not in here. Definitely more cereal heavy on the nose. A little bit like bran flakes. Maybe a little honey. Perhaps something a little salty on the palate. Apple on the palate for sure. Those bran flakes definitely. A nice sweetness, not overly sweet. Again, hitting above its weight class. It does not drink like it's... There's no age statement on this bottle either. But I'm assuming, again, we're looking at anything between 4 and 7 or 8 years old. Maybe a blend of all of that. This is batch 2018, all right? So every year, I believe they've taken from a different lot on the farm. Really cool stuff. This is bottle number 894 of 1,224. Gonna give this one more small sip and then I'm gonna give it a mark. Yeah, also very good. This one's gonna come in at an 86 for me. Really good. I prefer the single malt a little bit more. Gonna sip some water and carry through. Okay, moving on to the double cask or double barrel series. So there's a bunch of these already. The release date on this one is July 2018. And it's bottle number 983 of 1,131. Okay, so not a lot of bottles made of this one. It's finished for 1,993 hours in French oak casks or barrels. No chill filtration and no added color, 50% ABV. So far, out of all the ones that I've tasted from Shelter Point, as you can tell, the two double barrels are a little full, little more full anyway than the rest of them. Well, one of them because I got it more recently, and the other one because I think I'm leaning more towards their more distillate forward than barrel forward. So let's go with the one that's aged in French oak. On the nose, this is really, really nice. And I remember being a little bit disappointed with the double barrel French oak that was aged for 1,993 hours in French oak. I think that works out to about 3 months or something like that. Okay. Some fruitiness on the nose. More fruity than, let's say, the Artisanal single malt, but more like red fruit forward. Plums. Maybe a hint of like berry in there. Some raisin, maybe a little bit on the palate. Okay, so definitely already different than when I first popped this, which is a good thing because when I first popped it, I got a little bit of a metallic note on the palate, and I'm not getting that now, which is great. Let me give that another sip. Oh yeah, completely gone. that metallic taste, which is, thank goodness for that, because I was kind of concerned with this one in particular that I was going to have to give it a bad mark. Not going to have to do that. I'm going to give it one more sip. Definitely changes things. Not metallic at all. You're getting those red fruits again on the palate. Not as much red fruit forward on the palate as it is on the nose, but really nice. This time I think maybe it just needed to be aired out for a little bit. I left the cork off when I noticed that for a good hour. All right, I left the cork off of the bottle and I found drastic difference now than it was before. So again, that's the one aged in French oak for 1,993 hours. So I'm gonna give it an 83, all right? So good stuff, much better than my first interaction with it. Moving over to another double-barreled whiskey. This is the most recent one, I believe. It won awards. This is batch number 5, 46%, finished in coastal Blackberry wine casks for 75 days, all right? I actually really like this one. I love that they're using Blackberry wine casks. So sweet on the nose, but not liqueur sweet. It doesn't come off like a liqueur like you would think, oh, blackberry wine, that must be super sweet. But you do get nice berry notes on the nose. And then dark raisin notes as well, a little bit of dark chocolate. I'm very curious. I want to try a blackberry wine after tasting this whiskey, because I wonder how that would taste next to a regular wine. A regular grape wine anyway. Very interesting. Like I said, this is definitely berry forward. More like a compote kind of berry. Mixed berries in a compote. Maybe like a strawberry jam, despite this being blackberry wine. And like I said, a little bit of raisin. Actually, not a little bit, quite a bit of raisin on this. On the nose. On the palate. Yeah, that's beautiful on the palate too. Honestly, again, hitting above its weight class. This whiskey was aged for 5.5 years in American oak, then finished in French oak blackberry wine casks. All right, definitely get that blackberry wine cask influence. It comes off as raisins and dark chocolate a little bit. I'm gonna give it one more sip before I give this a mark. Yeah, wow. Okay, so I've tried one other double-barreled whiskey from Shelter Point. I think it was French oak casks with a Canadian Pinot Noir in those casks originally, and then obviously shipped to Shelter Point where they age their whiskey in it. I'm not sure how it stack up to these two. I remember it being very sweet, sweeter than these two in my opinion, but I definitely like this one here. Batch number 5 in case you're looking for it. I gotta give this one an 87. I think it's really good. I would definitely replace it, but this whole series makes me want to try different ones, so keep that in mind when you're buying these. But I really like this double-barreled blackberry wine cask, so check that one out if you haven't already.